Hello everyone, my name is Pierre-Luc Brouillette, technicien en muséologie au Musée national des beaux-arts du Québec. Today I'll talk about a wall mounting system we designed here at the museum that I call Telescopic Slides. The first use we made of this system was to present daguerreotypes in the permanent exhibition 350 Years of Artistical Practice in Quebec. The challenge in this exhibition was of finding a safe and simple way to install daguerreotype in a wall mount presentation. Owing to their fragility, daguerreotypes can only be displayed for a limited amount of time. Annual rotation of the contents of the showcase is required. So we needed to design a reusable mounting system that make it possible to install new daguerreotype of similar format when the works are rotated. In our display, we have 4 different formats of daguerreotypes. The first step was to choose a safe opening angle for all the daguerreotypes. With the conservator, we had to work with the most fragile one and see at which point we can open the daguerreotype to make a nice presentation and to respect the conservation of the object. After that, I made an adjustable jig with Ethafoam and Tyvek to lay the daguerreotype face down in place. Using this jig, I can make sure that all the daguerreotypes have the same opening angle.
A structure consisting of rectangular tube constitute the backbone of the mount. These tubes are welded with silver soldering on a flat strip. Adjustable section fits into the rectangular tubes. The part of the clip that is inserted into the tube is folded, which allow the resistance of the slide to be controlled. Permanent soldering joint for the bottom retainers will be an option. However, for this relatively lightweight object, the tight pressure fit that could be created by crimping the end of the retainer legs that slip into the square brass rod base provide a sufficiently strong anchoring mechanism that fully supported the weight and thus produced a full adjustable mount. After a clear coating of all brass surface, all parts of the mount in contact with the daguerreotypes were padded with thin strip of black cross-linked polyethylene foam, or Volara. For easy and safe installation, the 4 upper clips have less resistance than the 4 lower ones, which support the weight of the object. The sliding system makes it possible to position the clips of the mount according to the natural fold of the hinge of the daguerreotypes, which tend to weaken. No set screws are required for the installation, as friction and gravity secure the object in the mount. In this series of work, we had the challenge to mount a daguerreotype in horizontal position. A custom triangular padding made of Ethafoam covered with Volara was made to lower the pressure on the hinge, smoothly supporting the upper part of the object. The telescopic slide system having proved its worth with daguerreotype, we decided to apply it to this presentation of miniature paintings on display in the same exhibition. The hanging rings of these paintings were too weak to be used for the installation. A Dartek layer is temporarily placed between the weak hanging system and the frame to avoid friction during the object preparation and transport. The curator asked it to find a discreet way to have the ring look straight. Once the miniature mount is in place on the ring, the Dartek layer is smoothly removed. These mounts were so small that it wasn't possible to add padding on it. So I sprayed several layers of Krylon clear coating on it to create a barrier between the ring and the mount. Here is a miniature Tondo frame. In this case, 3 arms were enough to safely hold the object. The miniature mount to hold the ring is soldered apart to the upper clip. All the clips of this mount are removable, so we can reuse the same structure if we have another round-shaped object at the next rotation. Here are the smallest mounts that I had to make for the presentation of this group of work. 2 old medallions with very distinct features. Their rings being different from the previous miniatures, I had to create 2 new distinctive designs for the miniature mounts that hold them in place. This medallion has a particular feature that we absolutely wanted to show on display. There is a braiding hair at the back of the pictorial surface. The mount I have to make should not hide anything from these 2 surfaces, of course by holding the object firmly in place. We also added a mirror to show the back of the object. Once the daguerreotypes and miniature mounts have been complete, we are at the installation step. A reusable transport cabaret with Benedict of foam block was made to safely transport the object through the museum to the gallery. The leeway provided by the telescopic slides was very useful in order to arrive at a positioning easy and precise with minimal manipulation of objects. We look forward to the next rotation to see how many of these mounts will be reused for the new display. One thing is certain is that they will all be kept in order to constitute a mount bank which can be adapted to the new object in similar format. This is a new project which is an opportunity to use the telescopic slide to present contemporary artworks. We also decided to use this system to present the artworks of the Montreal-based artist Karen Tam. This series of work are representations of traditional Chinese porcelain made of hand-painted papier-mâché. Some of these irregular and fragile objects are totally suitable for this wall-mount system. Stone pools is one of the many papier-mâché plates that requires to be wall-mounted. Here's some image of the test fit before the coating and padding, while the object is wrapped in a Dartek layer. The artist Karen Tam chose to keep a natural brass finish for all the plate mounts. Here is an example on how changing the clip's folding could change the resistance of the slide. The final result will be an aesthetic and safe presentation of the work while allowing to adjust the positioning of those irregular objects with the telescopic clips. After having largely done its work, the telescopic slide mounting system is now our new standard for presenting light and fragile objects that lend themselves to it in a wall mount presentation.
Thank you everyone for being there. Hope this presentation will help you for your next install of light or fragile objects. Let me know if you have any question. We'll meet right now in the real world.
Merci, Pierre-Luc.
Ça fait plaisir, Laura.
I'm sure we have some Q&A for that. Those are such beautiful mounts. They're just like, I'm totally stealing that idea of the clips with the little bump in it to do a tension fit. Stealing it.
Yeah, I know. It's just because I'm letting you stealing it, Laura.
That's just borrowing. That's not stealing.
No problem.
Okay, Pierre-Luc, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, I'm ready, Sam.
Ready? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to go off camera. Okay, can you talk a little bit about the solder and the torch that you were using?
Oh, yes. I unfortunately have only a big oxyacetylene torch in my workshop. So for very small soldering like this with thin brass strips, I use tin and silver alloy, which melt at a lower temperature. And the torch that I am using is some polypropylene gas, or in this case, I think in the video, it's propane gas, which work well with this kind of welding.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit more about those clips, Pierre? Look how they sort of went in and out, and how did you secure them? And how did you make sure that they stayed intact, and then how they're also secured to the daguerreotype?
Yeah, with the daguerreotype, there's 4 clips in the bottom, and I mean, there's so much when you move, like I show in the last part, when you change the angle of folding on the small bulb at the bottom of the mount. This could make a very intense friction when you fit it in the square brass rod. So it can be really hard to remove it after without damaging the mount itself or the clips. So for a lightweight object like these, or like all the objects that you saw in this video, it's totally impossible to lay out of the mount.
Fantastic, thank you. Someone's asking about the mirror and how you installed that mirror at the back of the daguerreotype.
Oh yeah, that I used a double-face polyethylene foam to glue it on, to stick it on the back of the showcase, and then after the hole was drilled before, the hole in the plexiglass, and after I just needed to drill the back of the showcase and then install the small mount with a friction fit inside the showcase.
Excellent, thank you. People are also asking about that Volara strip. Is that just off the shelf, or is that something that you made?
Oh no, I buy some 132 Volara rabbit tape, which is mostly used in framing. I prefer that for very small mounts than the felt, because the the designer here, Marie-France Grondin, and I doesn't like to see a small hairs around the object when you need to have some very thin strips.
Yep, great.
Also, Volara is very good against vibration on objects.
Yeah, fantastic. There's a question here, Pierre-Luc, about the display. How long will the displays last? Because someone's thinking about how, you know, that the spring systems are susceptible to entropy.
In that case, this exhibition is installed for 10 years, and the content of this showcase are rotated every year. But now with the COVID crisis, the museum has been closed for several times, and all the lighting in the gallery were shut down. So I think there's already some people which are figuring out at what time we'll do the next rotation. But inside the showcase, also an important element is that the lighting is controlled by a movement sensor. So when there's no one in the gallery, the light is shutting down itself.
Fantastic, thank you. There's a question here about, was there any concern about visitors touching the objects?
Oh yeah, I think in my video I was so much focused on small works that I forgot to introduce the whole display. So let me explain it. All the objects are inside, well mounted inside a showcase, and there's a large glass in front of all the display.
Excellent. Yeah, there was another question there about the security, so I guess you've pretty much covered that now.
Yeah.
There's another question here about just that confirmation about what did you use for the slide-in part of your mount?
Oh, it's all brass. All these mounts are made of brass. It's 1/32 pier, 1/8 of a hinge, brass strips that slip into, if I can remember I think it's a 1/4 inch by 332 square tubings.
Okay, thank you. And I've got a question for you. Can you talk to us a little bit about, were there any challenges with this type of mounting system? Like, can you talk to us about those challenges and then how you overcame them, or, you know, a little bit more about sort of just that initial design and how did you come up with this solution? I think would be great as well.
Okay, the most challenging part were the daguerreotype, how to safely handle them, and how to make a safe positioning inside the display. So we didn't play around with the objects to define the positioning of the showcase. We played only with the mounts. Because they're so fragile that we can only let them close, because the most of them has the original hinge, which is absolutely weak, and you can see through the hinge. So I think the greatest challenge in that project was to manage how to handle the daguerreotypes in a safe way.
Absolutely. And there's another question that's just come through saying, why did you use square brass instead of round?
It's because of the friction fit that I made with the telescopic slide. With round one, you know that the clips can go around like this, and you need to have a bigger tube than if you use a flat one. Also, I personally hate padding round stock, because you need to use some tubing, and it's always making the mount bigger each time I use tubing on it. And if we are using Volara or polysuede, it's always a bit tricky to install it on a round shape.
Great. Well, thank you. That's all the questions that we have at the moment, but we can let people know that if they do have more questions, they can speak to you at the after party tonight, or
Yeah.
they can actually contact you directly.
Exactly. So thank you everyone for being there.
Thank you.